Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shifty 49ers Talk. What's good, bro?
What's good, man? So glad to finally be on. Super stoked to do the show, to talk some 49er football. And it's gonna be a rad time, dude.
Yeah, it is, man. Tell everybody in the audience where they can find you on social media platform.
Cool. So on YouTube, if you simply type in Shifty's 49ers, I should pop right up. If I don't, then I'm in trouble, but I think it should pop right up. On Twitter, my handle is Kalen. That's Kalen. Kalen's Take. I don't tweet as much. I'm much more of I like doing YouTube videos and what have you. But find me on there. Always doing 49er content. Sometimes some NFL stuff too, outside of the Niners. But it's I love talking 49er football. So just like CG over here.
Yeah, and the description of his channel is right down towards there. So yeah, it's gonna be it's definitely a great opportunity to get some of these new Niner YouTubers. I think you've posted some videos last year and you've been pushing and grinding. And I got to give a shout out to my boy John Jay for suggesting me to you. You know, I didn't know much about you. You know, I had to just do some research and do a lot of work on a lot of YouTubers. And he brought your name up. He said, "Hey, check out my boy Shifty 49ers Talk. He's got good content. CG, you need to collaborate with him." And I'm like, let me go check this guy out. Let me see what he's got. And I started liking your intro, a lot of your stuff. And then I started watching your top fives. And I'm like, hey, he's got some good knowledge. I liked it. And the more I started watching your takes and all that stuff, I'm like, okay, we got to work something out.
I appreciate you, bud. I appreciate the kind words. And I've been watching your stuff too. I know we were just talking about the video with Micro Mike and then the mock draft as well. So got some good picks, some guys I like in there too, for sure.
Yeah, it definitely is. But speaking of the Niners recap of the season, what was your thoughts in the first half of the season when we started off?
Man, I really think this last season, it was really like a tale of two halves. I thought the first half of the season was not great at all. Of course, we started out strong. We beat the Lions, we beat the Eagles, but then we go on and lose a whole bunch of games. I think the lowest point of the season was losing to Colt McCoy at home. Once we lost to Colt McCoy and the Cardinals at home, I said it on the stream that I did that day. I was like, this season is done. At that game, it looked like the players didn't care. So I was I was thinking, damn, this is not good. But then we came back. I think the next week we beat the Rams, and then we go on and we win a whole bunch of games. I'm actually really surprised that we were able to make it as far as we did. But I think maybe that loss to the Cardinals, even as bad as it was, I think it maybe brought the team together, and the team were like, hey, we're better than this. And then they started playing like it, and the schedule got easier too. But, all in all, look, obviously if we don't win a Super Bowl, you can't be super happy. But I think hey, look, we got to the NFC Championship game. We could have won that game. So I think a lot of other teams would kill to be in a position like us.
Yeah, it definitely is, man. And speaking of that game, man, it's like I was at that game that you just brought up, the Cardinals game. I didn't think in no way that this would be exactly how I was looking at it. But then I told a lot of these fellow Niner fans, I said on the bus, hey, don't be surprised if Colt McCoy kills us. And they were just laughing about it because they're saying, are you superstitious? Are you losing faith with your team? And I said, don't be surprised if Colt McCoy blows the shit out of us. And man, I was hoping I was wrong, because I wasn't very sure about it, because I thought, man, we got lucky playing them the last time. They might blow the shit out of us. And I guess a lot of them kind of came back to me and said, oh, man, I hate to say you're right about it, but damn, why are you right about this one? I said, dude, I just had a gut feeling that it was going to be that way. And a lot of it came down to it. And then speaking of that event, I went towards that game, and I saw Brian Young right down to the Levi's. I don't know if you've seen that video where I just come up close to him, and he kind of looks surprised, like a scared pit bulldog or something. Like, what the hell?
Brian Young, man, the Hall of Famer.
Yeah, the Hall of Famer. I mean, not everybody can say they had a chance to meet a guy like him and take a picture of him pretty quickly. I mean, he took a few minutes of his time.
Yeah, I think for the last season, it was wild. Just so many ups and downs. But hey, we made it to the NFC Championship game. We made it farther than 28 other teams. So, at the end of the day, we're right there. I think going into next season, if we can bring back some guys, draft pretty well, bring in some free agents, I don't see why not that we can't make it just as far, even get to the Super Bowl. I think Trey Lance is going to be super good. So,
yeah, I like where we're going into the next season. I think we're going to do a lot better at the quarterback position. I mean, sure, Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't everything that we hoped for, but the guy was a winner. But I'm wondering what kind of trade value we're going to get out of this, because I know more than likely we are going to move on. And it seems to me John Lynch already said it, that there's going to be some trade values there, so that's a good thing. So
yeah,
I'm optimistic about it. I've seen the 2.5 game samples that he started or played, and I like some of it, and it's still going to need some work. Like, as a Trey Lance follower, in a way I support him. When I saw that coming into the draft, when we were about making that trade, my reaction of that trade was, at first, I was like thinking maybe we can get a damn good receiver or a tackle to replace McGlinchey. But then a lot of people said, nah, we trading up to get a quarterback. So what was your reaction when we made that move? Like, did it catch you by surprise when we made that trade?
Oh, big time. Yeah. I was shocked because it seemed like what a lot of people were talking about, let's say like this time last year, that maybe like Mac Jones was going to be the guy for us. And I was thinking, if Mac Jones is the guy for us, I don't see why we shouldn't have to trade up for Mac Jones, because Mac Jones, people were talking about him as like middle of the first round. And that's kind of where he went, to the Patriots. But when we traded up, I had a feeling it was either for Justin Fields, it was either for Trey Lance, or else maybe we heard from somebody somewhere that maybe the Jets weren't going to take Zach Wilson, because I actually really liked Zach Wilson coming out of BYU. He went to the Jets. Obviously, I thought he would have been really good for us. But you know what? I thought Trey looked really good this year, because he didn't play much in college last year because of like COVID and whatnot. People are talking about him. Oh, he needs to sit and learn, and he got to learn a lot last year, I think, with us. But even when he played there, he made some big time plays. Like, you look at the Texans game, he had that big touchdown pass to Debo. Even in the Cardinals, like, I hated the play calling of that Cardinals game. I thought Shanahan just totally screwed Trey Lance in that game. But overall, I think Trey made some really nice throws, and give him another offseason. He's going to get to work with Debo and Ayuk and Kittle, be the number one quarterback. And I think he should have a good year. Like, I think he should be throwing the football. I would expect him to be at least as good as Jimmy this year, if not maybe a little better. Plus, we know that Trey Lance can run, whereas Jimmy G is like, he can barely move. So,
yeah, that's the one thing I'm hoping for. As all of us Niner fans, we're hoping that this guy could pan out. We like what we see so far. It's just he's going to have to take some more training. So, as a critical Niners fan, we'll put it into perspective of Trey Lance. His footwork needs to be better. The accuracy needs to improve. The guy needs to learn how to slide, because he's hurting himself. He's putting himself in danger. He's going to get concussions. And then maybe Shanahan needs to figure out ways to do better play calling for his health being, because look what he did with RG3. That kind of killed his career.
Oh, big time, man. I couldn't agree more. I think that was like the weird thing when we drafted Trey Lance and I was watching some of his games in college. I was like, this guy takes a lot of hits. And, when you're in the NFL and you got, all these players like Aaron Donald and, Von Miller and all these guys, man, like, they're going to knock you out. Like, Trey's a big guy, but like, he can't be taking those hits. Like, the one thing that you say about, let's say, like Russell Wilson or Pat Mahomes or whoever, when they run around, like, they don't get like that big time hit very often. So, he's got to work on that big time. The other thing that I know you're talking about is accuracy and footwork, and that can definitely be better. He doesn't really throw a tight spiral. I mean, not that you have to, but sometimes Peyton Manning didn't always throw a tight spiral, but ball comes out wobbling quite a bit. I just noticed that. I mean, I don't know. I'm no like expert or nothing, but I thought maybe he'll improve on that. That should maybe help out the accuracy too.
Yeah, I like to give a huge shout out to TOP for the $2 dono. Flex right here. CG Ruthless is flexing up in here, man. What's up, bro? I know he's a Bears fan. Yeah, we definitely need to keep an OC longer than 2 years. I agree with EJ Tonga. Yeah, I agree. We definitely need to keep a play caller for longer. But I like Anthony Lynn hire. Like the Anthony Lynn hire to me is a good move, but we're still going on the Trey Lance topic. There's one thing he needs to work on is his short pass, because when he throws that short pass, it's a fastball and it hurts the receiver's hands more. I
Yeah,
think that's one of he needs to work on his touch up more.
big time, man. Yeah, you're right there. I think it reminds me of, in terms of like just like he just throws like a fastball. It actually was a lot like how Kaepernick used to throw the ball.
Yep.
Like
I
Kaepernick
was
used
about to say that.
it was like a rocket, and it's like the guy's like 5 yards away from you. Like, what are you doing? But I think he's really young. Trey's super young. He hasn't played a ton of football lately, and I think he'll improve in a lot of ways. I think we could see a very different player like 2022 than we saw last year, to have like another full off season working, and he'll get all the reps as like the number one guy. So he'll get to build that chemistry with Debo and Ayuk and Kittle and whoever else we bring in. And, so it's I expect to see a lot more things. And I'm pretty excited to see what, you mentioned Anthony Lynn. I think that's a great hire. Really excited to see what he does. Anthony Lynn and Kyle Shanahan, you imagine them coming up with play designs where maybe you fake the handoff to Debo and Trey runs and flips it to Mitch. I mean, there's so many crazy things that you could do. And I think those guys are going to be like mad scientists just coming up with like crazy plays.
Yeah, Anthony Lynn does have a good track record. He's worked with the Shanahan, so he's got a good relationship with them. But speaking of that, I mean, yeah, Mike McDaniel's left to be the Miami Dolphins head coach. I know some people are saying that's a big loss. I don't know about a big loss. I mean, yeah, he was a genius in his own creative ways, but you can't go wrong with Anthony Lynn. Anthony Lynn is a very good he's a very good offensive minded guy. Like he's definitely a run creative guy, but he can probably make it easy for Trey Lance in this transition. Because I mean, he's worked with somebody like a Justin Herbert with the Chargers. That guy got Rookie of the Year. So it's like,
big time.
And I think, and it says he is a big fan of Trey Lance. So I think that's part of what got him intrigued to come over here.
Yeah, big time. And I think for me, it's all but a given. I think we're for sure going to sign Tyrod Taylor. We know Tyrod's worked with Anthony Lynn. What I like about Tyrod too is I don't know if you watch when like Hard Knocks comes out, but that year when they did the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield was a rookie, they had Tyrod Taylor there, and like they were like, Tyrod, you gotta watch Tyrod because he comes in super early. He's the hardest working guy there. So that's another good guy for Trey Lance to kind of like look to be like, hey, this is how you like play the game. And then Trey just has like his talent, man. I mean, if he can like even reach like half of his potential, I think he could really take the league by storm. There's a reason why we gave, and when people talk about, I've seen some reports and I think it's kind of garbage where they're like, oh, trade Trey Lance and keep Jimmy G. Like we've had Jimmy G in the locker room, and Lynch and everyone still decided we got to go up and get Lance. There's a reason for that. I'm a big Jimmy G fan. Don't get me wrong. But I think Lance could be really special. I think he could be really good.
Yeah, and that's what everybody's wondering through the media. Is Trey ready? And I'm going to just say this. We don't know yet because he's got to have a full offseason training. He's going to have to work on it. But I believe he's more than capable to be our starter because he showed some flashes and potential. So we just got to see what he can do. Because I know this media, that's all they're doing is bringing down Trey Lance. At first, they were bringing down Jimmy and say, let the kid play. Now they're just saying, oh, he's not ready. Like, I don't know, man. Like, this is confusing with this media stuff.
I think it's a lot of people looking for clicks, when you got guys, I mean, the infamous Grant Cohn and stuff, and I know you call him out, and I love to see it. I love to see Grant Cohn getting called out. But it's just one of those things where I think look, Trey is not perfect. No quarterback is. I think he's going to come in. I think there's going to be games like early on. I mean, we don't know what the schedule is going to be, like which teams we're playing when, but yeah, there's going to be games that I think he's probably not going to look very good, and we're going to be like, what the hell? But we have to remember he didn't really play his last year at college, and he only played 2 games last year. So you have to expect there's going to be some rough games. The thing is that you hope if he has a rough game, he learns, he gets better, doesn't make the same mistake twice, and then he can come in and just win us some games. That's like the one thing Jimmy was able to do, was able to have those clutch drives. against like the Bengals and against the Rams last year in the regular season. But I think Trey can do that. I don't see why he can't. But if the couple of things that Trey brings, I mean that arm is crazy. Like he can throw much farther, much stronger, much faster than Garoppolo. So I think that unleashes a whole other aspect to the offense. And so I'm excited for those big plays, because that's the one thing that whenever we had a big play, it always seemed like it was a quick pass and then Debo takes it, or a quick pass and then Kittle takes it. Whereas I think we could just see like deep passes. Maybe we draft some speedy guy, some speedy receiver. Maybe we sign someone. I don't know. There's a bunch of guys out there. That's why it's good to see the combine. You got the 40 times. But if we get some speed guy, maybe you never know what could happen, man.
Yeah, we do. Like, I think this is what makes this offense very better this time, because we're going to probably be able to unleash more of the deep pass. I mean, that's something that Trey Lance can use in his skill set, and it can elevate this offense. I mean, we should, the deep threat receiver, that's probably the one main guy we're going to probably get. And I know Debo and a lot of other receivers we got, they've been waiting for that opportunity to get those deep passes. Ayuk has been scratching and clawing for that opportunity. And Kittle, of course, has been getting some of those opportunities too. But I think if it came down to us drafting a receiver or getting somebody in free agency, there's a lot of buzz about this Christian Watson, man, the teammate of Trey Lance, man. What would the possibility be like? Let's say we end up getting this guy. How would you feel about this situation?
Ooh, that's a good one. I really like Christian Watson. The guy is 6'5", 6'5". He's massive. Obviously, we like that North Dakota State offense, or else we wouldn't have drafted Trey Lance. So it's somewhat of a pro style kind of offense. He's fast. He's a good blocker. I think he could really, that could be a whole other, aspect to the offense that we haven't seen here in years, So I think if we were able to bring him in, I'd really like it. I don't know if we'd go that direction, just because I think we have bigger holes. Although at the end of the day, I'm also a big fan of, you never know what can happen year to year. So when you're drafting, as sometimes it is good, you got to draft for the positions that you need, but sometimes you just got to say screw all that and just be like, let's draft who we think is the best player right here, because you never know. So maybe I'm knocking on wood right here, but let's say if someone gets hurt, which obviously I hope doesn't happen, and then we could be glad that we drafted Christian Watson. So I think he fit in perfectly. His speed, his size is just crazy to think about, So, but yeah, it'd be a really good fit. Yeah, I put that in one of the videos that I did recently. I think he'd be a great fit because obviously they know each other. Like Lance and Watson, that'd be the chemistry day one.
Yeah, it would be, and that's what I'm saying. Even in my mock drafts, I even said that it could be possible best available because of the injuries that could happen. So
you never know.
I you never know, but I know the praise about I like this other guy, another receiver I like from Cincinnati. He's a good one. He's a 6'3" receiver. People compare him to another Cooper Kupp or a Jordy Nelson. This guy's got some good route running. I don't know, he should be there maybe in a third, or maybe he might move up draft boards. This guy is the guy from Cincinnati that I'm talking about. This guy, he runs good routes, very consistent. That's a guy you definitely want. I know I'm very confident with Jennings too, but hey, it's always good to have depth or people you can rely on and put on this offense. You want to make your quarterback look good. You want Trey Lance to elevate, give him more weapons, and he'll do great.
I think so. What do you, CG, what do you think is the biggest need or the biggest thing that we need going in, the offseason?
Oh, okay. So biggest need going to the offseason. We got to fix that interior offensive line, because Alex Mack, it's either he's going to decide to retire or he's done. He might enter free agency at this point, because I think he's probably going to retire. And then you got Laken Tomlinson. He's going to be a free agent, and it's going to take a lot to bring him back. So I don't know. I'm not very sure about our depth. I don't know about Aaron Banks. Aaron Banks is the jury is still waiting on you. I want to see if he could start at this point. Brunskill, I've seen enough of this guy. I don't know. I don't know what to expect from this guy anymore. God, please, no Tom Compton. Please get rid of this guy. I just want the line to get better. That's all I'm hoping for. So maybe that's why. And then maybe that's why I'm doing a video of Marquise Hayes tomorrow, because I feel like that's the one weakness that we need to fix, is that interior line.
Yeah, that guy seems to be your guy, huh? The Marquise Hayes.
Yeah, a lot of my players from Oklahoma I like, but it's just because he's a mauler and I don't know what kind of scheme he would fit, but he would be a good blocker. So it's like coming from a guy who's played the offensive line and's played it at a decent level, can understand the difference of how important the position is. You got to have your quarterback protected. The running game becomes a flow if this line blocks good, all that stuff. That's the only one concerning factor is that interior line. If we can get that fixed, we're good. And then after that, secondary cornerback. I think cornerback would be another need at that point.
Yeah, I agree. I think with the offensive line, there could be a lot of turnover. For me, my biggest thing when it comes to offensive line, and obviously, you played the position, so you probably know better than me. But I think having that consistency with the same guys together really helps. So I really want to bring back Laken Tomlinson, even if it costs quite a lot, because the guy doesn't miss any games. I think since we traded for him, I don't think he's barely missed a snap. So him and Trent Williams obviously have a good relationship there. So they kind of at this point know what each other they're going to do. Personally, I really hope that Alex Mack comes back for 1 year. The guy I'm looking at is Alec Lindstrom in the draft, maybe in the middle rounds, to bring him in, learn from Alex Mack for a year. Then I think he could just go in and take over. But there's a lot of question marks. As you said, Aaron Banks, I think I saw someone somewhere post that he's already working out at the training, facility for the Niners training facility. So that's good to see. But I mean, we don't know what that guy can do. He's an unknown. He's a big question mark. So
yeah,
Brunskill, like you mentioned, I think Brunskill is a guy who'd be he should be the backup. Like he shouldn't be starting. He should be the guy where maybe if one of your starters gets hurt, Brunskill can come in. Maybe he doesn't screw things up. But and then right tackle, as you said, Compton, Jesus, he got exposed big time in the playoffs. McGlinchey, I think, is okay, but he ain't going to be around long term, I don't think. So we'll see what happens. But I think, I expect us to draft a couple more offensive linemen. And personally, I really do hope, even if we have to overpay a little bit, I would like to bring back Laken.
Yeah, Laken Tomlinson's probably the one guy I would be okay bringing back because at least you got somebody who's familiar with our system and he gels well with guys like Trent Williams and everybody else, and he's very dependable. And most of our lines, we've always had guys miss time, like Weston Richburg, which we signed like a while ago. I mean, like seasons ago, this guy can never stay healthy, but for whatever reason, we paid this guy so much money, can never stay damn healthy. But hey, huge shout out to my boy Niner by Nature 88. Ooh, the receiver from Ohio State ran a 4.26. Ooh.
Jeez.
I don't know about I highly doubt we get this kid because I already seen him on draft boards being a first round talent. But hey, if he slides into the second round and comes close to us, I don't know. Like, let's say this kid does slide. Mm-hmm. Would you be all excited for this possibility of us getting this receiver or not?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be down. I think it's as we said, like you can never have enough depth, because. Like, again, knocking on wood here, but let's say if any of our starting receivers got hurt, then we'd be glad that we drafted this kid, So yeah, I'd be happy. I think the offense, and what we got to do, the Trey Lance is the future, and if we were able to draft a guy like that, then yeah, we're setting him up to do really well. So at the end of the day, whatever else we do, if Trey Lance is good, then man, that goes a long way to us, like just being a consistently good team. So yeah, I think it'd be a cool weapon to have. The one thing which I'm really curious to see what we might do is if we might bring in like another, or maybe if we draft a tight end early, maybe in the second or third round, because to me, that's something that we're missing. Because look, I love George Kittle, maybe my favorite player in the team. But the way he plays, he gets hurt. Like every year now, it seems like he's missing 3-4 games. And I think that could be another like wrinkle to the offense. If we have another tight end who could actually make some plays, whereas Dwelly and Werner, they're kind of okay blockers, I guess. But that's something that I'd be interested to see as well. Like Trey McBride, I think they talked about him in the draft. If he was there in the second round, I'd be pretty interested.
Yeah, tight end. Like Kittle, he can for whatever reason he can never stay healthy, but when healthy, he's a big factor. Yeah, another tight end, but I think we can get that either in free agency. Probably not have to pay much. Like I just looked at your suggestions. Like Cameron Brake could be a really good option.
Yeah,
So if you add Cameron Brate and just put Kittle in, that's going to be a nice duel. So that's my suggestion. Maybe we could get somebody like Cameron Brate to fill that role and be the guy to step in because he's been a capable starter. He's been
true.
consistent. He just hasn't been given opportunities because it's pretty stacked up. You got OJ Howard and Gronkowski taking a lot of the load, man. It's a lot.
True.
Willis supposedly well at the combine. Now Niners haters are coming back up to say he's better than Trey. I'm getting sick of it. Oh my God, are we going by the 40 time? Hey, you know what? Speaking of it, speaking of this one prospect, since my boy Roberto brought this up. Man, I love me some Smoke Monday. I gotta check this guy up, man. This guy's got some. I heard he can play like. I think he's like either a free safety, but plays like he hits like a strong safety out there. I think he would be a good option to develop once Jimmy Ward leaves. You know,
Great name too.
I know it's the coolest name in the draft. I must say.
There's a couple of good names in the draft. That one's probably up there as maybe the best. Malik Willis, I think Malik's going to be. I think he needs a lot of work. He actually reminds me. The way Malik Willis runs reminds me of the way Trey Lance runs in terms of they both take a lot of hits. So that's the one thing that, Lance, like Willis, when he comes to the NFL, he's going to have to learn. Like sometimes you got to slide. You got to learn how to slide, learn how to get out of bounds because, yeah, maybe you want to pick up those extra 2 or 3 yards, but you want to take a big hit and then get injured and then miss games for 2 or 3 yards. Maybe it's not worth it. So,
Yeah.
but I like Willis, and it's, of course, like at the combine, everyone's made to look good. That's our combine and pro days. It's all about if you have a big arm, and if you can run, you're going to look good. So I'd much rather have Trey Lance than Malik Willis. So
Yeah, there's got to be some draft prospects who are going to slide down because of injury red flags or something like that. But let's think about a couple of players who might just be available because of the injury issues. I know we've been having issues with players in the past, but you can always look past college. Frank Gore had the most injuries in college, and he turned out to be one of the best running backs in 49ers history. So
yeah, true.
not all the time injuries in college can translate into the NFL. It depends on how you take care of your body. But let's say a guy like John Mechie is available because I'm hearing that he was injured. But let's say we take a flyer on this guy. I know it sounds risky, but I heard this guy is a good receiver coming out of Alabama. But I'm hearing that he won't be ready to the regular season, maybe.
I know that Mechie, and then there's Jameson Williams too. Yeah, I mean, I guess if they fall and, I don't know. You know what just kind of turns me off drafting these guys who are injured is when we had Trent Baalke, we would always draft that guy who was hurt. And then we were like, hey, he'll be healthy next year. And none of those guys turned out. So maybe I'm not saying that none of like Mechie or Williams or whatever, not saying that they won't be good at any point, but I think a part of me is like, I'm just kind of done drafting injured players. But, look at the end, I have a good amount of trust in like Lynch and Shanahan to like find good players. So it seems like every draft, they at least find like 1 or 2 players who are really, really good. So if they feel like he's good enough and maybe he's ready to go later in the year, then I don't see why not. A part of me, and it's kind of funny because I basically said the opposite, but a part of me thinks that like, if we can draft a guy who can like day one contribute, like we were really close. This team is very close. Like you think about the Super Bowl teams, right? Cincinnati and the Rams. We played 4 games against those teams last year. We were 3-1, and 4 of those games were on the road. So, we're really close to being like the team to beat. So if we can get a couple of guys who contribute now, man. But look, it's that's not a 1-year thing. We got to think long term. So if they see guys like Mechie as like, hey, this could be a future guy that we can build around, then I'm all for it. I don't see why not.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I mean, I'm not like I'm tired of these drafting injury players too. We've gone through the Trent Baalke days. We've gone through these risk takers, and it's always been backfiring us. But Well, lately, Contavious Tree has eventually kind of developed slowly, even though he was an injury prospect. But I mean, there's a fine line. Like, okay, maybe one player wouldn't hurt, but let's just wait till later round to take a flyer.
Yeah, I
Not
think
early,
so.
not early pick, please.
Well, the one guy that we talked about before, Sam Williams. I think he's a guy who, like in the second round, well, maybe for me, I'd go like third round. But if he's there in the second round, they see him, and man, I think having another edge rusher, because I don't think Arden Key's coming back. I think he's going to go somewhere else and get some big money. To me, I'd be like, hey, if we bring back Lakin, if we bring back DJ Jones, we let those other guys walk. But in the draft, maybe we replace Arden Key with the guy like Sam Williams. You know, that's the strength of our team. So, yeah, I mean, I'm as you said. Look, when it comes to like taking drafting a player who's a bit of a risk, then yeah, later in the draft, like fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I mean, no harm. What have you got to lose, right?
Yeah, it's just like if it's late rounds, no harm, no foul. It can either pay off at some point, but
Right.
yeah, and then yeah, definitely. Hey, I'm gonna give a huge shout out to the BGN Sports Media. Be sure to subscribe to their channel. You know, gotta thank Bird Gang 31 for putting me on this networking platform, and everybody is very appreciated. You know, this network's getting popping, and everybody's getting very excited about the future. You know, so it's like we're doing more than just his Eagles in general. We're doing all 32 teams and talking all sports, but we could discuss about the offseason priorities for the Niners, but think of the 5 options in free agency that we should get. Because I've seen a couple of your videos. I've seen a lot of your top 5 options, but I want to know, in your opinion, not just common sense of the 49ers, but what do you think the Niners should do in those 5 target players in free agency we should get?
That's a good one. So ultimately, when I see how close we were, my opinion is I think we should actually bring back all of our guys. I mean, most of them. But looking at some of the guys in free agency who I think could come in and contribute, someone like who's like, and it's relatively like realistic, you know, I think would be like, as you mentioned, Cameron Brate, you know, having that second tight end option. Because, you know, if you have like Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, and then Brate out there, I mean, no one's looking at Brate. Let's be real. So if you do a play action, Brate could be wide open. He could have some big plays. The other guys I'm looking at are at cornerback and safety. So at cornerback, the guys I think, I mean, look, you got like your Stephon Gilmores, you got your J.C. Jackson. Like J.C. Jackson, Carlton Davis, those guys are going to be out of our budget, I think. I don't think we have the money for either of those guys. Stephon Gilmore, if he's willing to come here on a cheaper deal, like if we're talking maybe 7-8 million, I think we could maybe swing that. But I wouldn't be surprised if you have another team out there who's going to throw crazy money and be like, hey, here's like 12-13 million. And then we can't compete with that. So the guys I'm looking at, though, are those guys. And I did a video on it a little while ago. The guys who were just coming off their rookie deals, who were kind of drafted pretty high, but still have potential, but maybe haven't looked that good. So Kevin King from the Green Bay Packers, Isaiah Oliver from the Falcons. I think who else was there? Sidney Jones, who drafted by the Eagles, played with the Seahawks. And another guy that gets brought up, who I actually think we could bring back, it used to play with us, drafted by us, was DJ Reed. I think DJ Reed could be someone to look into as well. But yeah, we need help on the secondary. We just need depth there because, you know, I like Mosley is really good, but Mosley to me is almost like Kittle on offense, where Kittle plays really great but gets hurt. Mosley is really physical, so that's really great when he's out there, but he ends up missing games here and there. So we need to have a lot of guys who can come in and play. You know, Ambry Thomas, I think he came on better at the end of the year, but he's not like a sure thing. You know, a lot of people just want to pencil him in. He's like, oh, he's going to be good to go. Whereas, yeah, I think he's going to be pretty good, but, you know, better to be safe than sorry. So let's bring in some other guys. So cornerback, if we can get Gilmore cheap, I'd do it. Otherwise, I'd draft one of these assign one of these younger cornerbacks who can come in. You know, they have a lot to prove, and maybe they earn themselves a big contract going forward. So.
Yeah, and then when you said about Kevin King, I know some may think like, he's not that great. Well, he only had one good year in Green Bay, which was 5 picks, but he was solid. But lately, he's kind of been falling off. So maybe a change of scenery would be great for him.
Big time.
I would be all in for DJ Reed, but the one problem with DJ Reed is I don't think he wants to play nickel. He wants to play outside. And I think that's perfect for him. That's perfect.
Yeah, and obviously before we tried to play him inside, and he didn't want to do that. He wasn't really that good at it. So if he were to come back to San Francisco, he'd want to hear it from like D'Amico being like, "Hey, you better not play me inside." So, but yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see. I mean, maybe we bring DJ Reed back. I think he'd be like he's looked pretty good in Seattle, So, and like Seattle, they love signing those former 49ers.
Yeah, leftovers. They might even take Arden Key or Laken Tomlinson for all we know, or DJ Jones.
Wouldn't surprise me one bit if they signed all three of them, actually. The one guy I don't want going there is Raheem Mostert. I think Raheem would be a beast. He's just like, and when Raheem's healthy, he's good. But yeah, and then other things like, look, we're going to get rid of Jimmy. Whether we trade him or cut him or whatever happens there. So we got to have a good backup, and I think Tyrod's the guy. He makes a lot of sense. With knowing our coaching staff and just being like, he's a player who can come in and win some games too. I don't think. People look at maybe some of his record, and a lot of times he's been on really crappy teams. So if he came in and played with us, let's say if Trey missed a game or two, right? I think Tyrod could come in and win those games, and that's kind of what you want from a backup quarterback. And, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I think a lot of it in terms of like the free agent targets, it's really going to come down to who we're able to bring back, because let's say if we don't bring back DJ Jones, if we don't bring back Laken Tomlinson, man, then those positions start becoming needs, So, yeah, it's very interesting what's going to happen. I'm very curious to see what John Lynch and what's going on. I'd love to be a fly in the wall, what's going on behind the scenes,
Yeah, we all want to know what's going on, because that's just what happens behind the scenes. We don't know what kind of moves they're going to do. I mean, we already know that Jimmy's going to get surgery. We have a good feeling that he's going to get traded, but the question is what we're going to get in return. So that's going to still be a question mark until free agency starts. Yeah, and then you talk about these unproven guys, or the guys that got opportunities that are pricing themselves out. I mean, I don't know about DJ Jones as much as I want the guy back. He is a big difference on our D-line, but I don't know. It's like I think he's pricing himself out. And then Laken Tomlinson, like you said, I like the idea of bringing him back because durability, and plus he's already comfortable with the scheme of what we run. So it would be kind of dumb for us to let him go. But at the end of the day, it's business. So he's going to get his big money elsewhere. So either it's with the Dolphins, Jets, or whoever signs up, they're getting somebody who's going to play his heart out. So DJ Jones, whoever gets DJ Jones, or if we get him back, I'm going to tell everybody of another fan base. If you get DJ Jones, you're getting a guy who works hard and hustles and gets better every year. This guy puts the work in. So you're going to get a guy who puts his heart on the field. I like DJ Jones. He's becoming one of my other guys' favorite players I like so far.
Yeah, DJ Jones is definitely a favorite of mine. Like a lot of the plays he made last year were just so good, and then but yeah, I think especially with like Laken, I mean, I would not be surprised at all if like the Jets like throw crazy money at Laken Tomlinson, because they run that, they have the coaching staff that was here in San Francisco before. Maybe the Dolphins, maybe Mike McDaniel wants to bring Laken over. So those are two good suggestions, and both of those teams have a ton of cap room, especially compared to us. So wouldn't shock me at all. I hope that we can bring him back. I kind of hope that what we did last season, because last season, basically what our whole thing was, let's bring everybody back. So we brought back Trent Williams and Juszczyk and K1 and Tard and all these guys, Verrett's an interesting one actually too. But I kind of hope that we can do the same thing this year, where we bring everyone back, we trade away Jimmy, and then maybe we can sign one or two, mid-tier free agents. Hopefully we can draft well, get a couple of impact players there. And then, I don't see why we can't go and make a run,
I think with all the talent we bring in, we don't lack much. We always bring in even if our coach staff goes elsewhere, we always find somebody to fill in the job just right. So it's like, yeah, everybody's saying what's up, man. Hey, Niner by Nature says Debo that like button, man.
Debo it.
Yeah, I like his mindset. Debo that like, but everybody else is just feeling it, man. I've been seeing Niner by Nature on every damn Niner stream around there. I seen him on John Chapman's stream the other day. He was all the way there, and then I think he was on John Jay's stream the other day, but yeah, he's a good dude. He's very given to the community. Like I've seen him do good. He's a good dude. Like if you ever get a chance to see him on your channel, dude, he's a really good guy.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely looking forward to that. That's something that I've been kind of like thinking of playing around with, is maybe doing some like live streams, just talking about, and get people on. Obviously, like yourself, man, you'd be welcome on anytime. And yeah, that's kind of like down the line. That's something that I want to do, because I do like the live streaming. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be. What do you think about? Because there was that thing that John Lynch was talking about, that they really do want to bring back Verrett. What do you think about them maybe bringing back Jason Verrett?
Man, see, that was the one thing I've been hearing about. Like, I've seen it through the articles, I've seen it through the talks. I mean, I get that bringing him back because he's been with us and he wouldn't cost much. I mean, he got injured, so he bet on himself and it backfired him. But the only good side about having Verrett back with the team is he's already familiar with our system, and when healthy, he's solid, he's good. But it's just he can never stay healthy. That's my only concern, is his durability, or else I'm cool with it.
Yeah, if it was like a 1-year deal, basically like a minimum deal, then I'd be for it. Just so, hey, if he gets hurt, we're not a big deal. But yeah, it's he's a really good player when he's out there, but you can't count on him, So it's there's definitely like a big risk factor there. Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, I like the guy. I mean, look, he seems like a good dude, and when he's out there, he plays well. But yeah, man, I don't think I've ever seen any player like him just get hurt all the time. I don't know if it's bad luck or what, but yeah, we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, we'll see what's out there. But speaking of some guys in free agency, like I know there's other guys that people have not even brought up. Alshire, man, this is a guy that's kind of emerged during the season when Dre Greenlaw was out for a while. Alshire was coming into his own, that Detroit Lions game, when Greenlaw was out of that game. After that, this guy was making tackles, this guy was making plays, and then throughout the season, this guy was showing some consistency signs. So, like, what is your thoughts of Alshire emerging, man? Like,
I like him, man. He really came on later. What's up, John Jay? Yeah, he really came on late, like during the season. I thought Alshire stepped up big time, because I didn't really. I mean, I'd seen him play a little bit before this last season, but he didn't really get much time because we had Greenlaw and Fred Warner. But when he came in, man, he stepped up big time. There was I think there was like 1 or 2 games where like Fred Warner was out as well, and Shire was like calling the plays. He had like the green dot on the helmet, and yeah, he looked really good, really impressive. He had some really big plays during the year. He intercepted Kirk Cousins against the Vikings, had some big tackles for loss. So, I mean, I certainly hope we bring him back. Now, bringing him back, then there's the question where, I mean, I'm a big fan of having depth, like what you said, but then there's a question like, hey, I heard some people say maybe we should trade Dre Greenlaw. So I don't know about that, but that could be something interesting too.
yeah, let me give a shout out to my boy John Jay, man. What's good, bro? Just seen you in the comments. We were just talking about you early in the stream, man. Talking about how me and him just ended up talking because you're the one that brought it up, man. You're the one that told me to check him out. I'm not disappointed. This guy's really knowledgeable, and I thank you for it, man. You did a good job, and I like the fact that you build my logo and you do a lot of good work, man. So I'm not gonna ever discredit you, man. Just let you know, you got credit, bro. I'll give you credit. Yeah, I mean, yeah, John Jay, it's all good, man. So, yeah, Dre Greenlaw. Let's get on that Dre Greenlaw discussion. Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of possibilities that maybe we would trade him to save some cap space, like because his rookie contract is $2.something million in cap space on his rookie contract. But the problem is, if you have a chance to get some more draft capital, what would it take to trade Dre Greenlaw? Maybe a 3rd-round pick, or maybe so, depending on what team needs a linebacker. So what would you do in this situation? Let's say Washington football, they do want a quarterback, right? But what if you just package him Dre Greenlaw, and then you get a 1st-round pick out of it? There's no way in hell they'd be that dumb to pass on it.
Oh, if it was, Garoppolo and Greenlaw for their 11th overall pick, ooh, I would do that. I would do that trade. Even I really do like Dre Greenlaw. I mean, when he came back healthy at the end of the year, like there were some plays in the Dallas game where like the Cowboys snap the ball and like in a heartbeat, Dre Greenlaw's back there, really aggressive. So I like the way he plays a lot. But yeah, if there's a trade offer like that, if they go, hey, Garoppolo and Greenlaw for, I think they have the 11th pick, I would do that for sure. Because we still have obviously Fred Warner, bring back Alshire, even some other linebackers. Like we're just able to make linebackers look good. Even these random guys who come in like Demetrius Flanagan Foles, we got Marcel Harris and all these other guys. They come in and they play pretty darn well. So I would do that trade that you said.
Well, yeah, I mean, Marcel Harris had to convert from linebacker, and he hasn't been too bad. Like, speak of Marcel Harris, I think he is a free agent too. And the fact that he converted linebacker, I think it's kind of been good for him because his coverage is very limited as a safety. As a safety, his coverage is like not so much. But as a linebacker, I think I like where he's at because he got an interception as a linebacker. And I feel like our depth at that position is good. And I like how D'Amico Ryans is very loyal. Like D'Amico Ryans could have just took a head coach job with the Vikings, but he said, nah, I'm not done with San Francisco. So he kept sticking with loyalty, and that's all that matters. Yeah, and then my boy David McNew, man. David McNew keeps on popping in, man. He's a good dude. I like him. Part of that membership and part of that CG unit. That's what we call it over here.
See, I agree with you, David, to like a certain degree. That of course we can't keep everyone, but man, I think that right now we are in a window, even with Trey Lance, and he's still going to be learning the game. But I think we're in a window where we can win the Super Bowl right now. So what would kill me is if, let's say, we trade away Greenlaw, and then Alshire or Warner get hurt, and Greenlaw's on a very reasonable deal. It's not like Greenlaw's making $10 million or something like that. So part of me thinks like, hey, look, at the end of the day, if that trade came through, Garoppolo, Greenlaw for 11 overall, I'm taking it. But I kind of, unless we're offered something good for Greenlaw, I kind of want to keep him on the roster because they're not making big money. Greenlaw or even bringing back Alshire, they're not going to make big money. So I don't really like trading away a really good player. And I think Greenlaw is really good, unless it's for a good reason. So.
Well, because he adds value. Like you want to get some better assets. Sometimes you have to sacrifice to give up some assets. And I know Drake Greenlaw is coming into his own, but Alshire is emerging, so he would be a cheaper, like in the long term, Alshire would be a cheaper option compared to Dre Greenlaw because Dre Greenlaw, he's on his final year of his rookie contract. So he's going to expect to hit the bank. So would you rather keep Dre Greenlaw, even though he's a very proven, like he's really good and makes clutch tackle, or would you rather be fine with Alshire, who's emerging and he's not going to cost much compared to like right now, he might cost more than Dre Greenlaw right now, but in the long haul, he'll be cheaper.
It's a good point. So what my thought process would be is, hey, what's up, Seahawks, Eddie? What my thought process with Greenlaw is, look, let's say if we bring him back, right? And I think Greenlaw's a guy who could for sure be a Pro Bowl linebacker. If he comes back and has a great year. Oh, thank you, John. If he comes back and has a great year, let's say if he leaves the year after, right? Well, some team's probably going to throw big money at him, a team who needs a linebacker. And then we could get that, compensatory pick. Maybe we get a 3rd round compensatory pick. So, I think we're in that Super Bowl window right now. So to me, I'm like, I don't like letting someone walk out the door unless we're getting something good in return. Yeah, of course. Like if you want to get something good, you got to give up something good. But man, it's just it'd be a shame to trade away a really good young player when we're in this Super Bowl window and injuries happen. I mean, I think we as 49er fans, we know that better than anyone that we see our teams get hurt. So our players get hurt. So personally, I would really want to keep Greenlaw unless basically if you gave me like a godfather, like give me a deal I can't say no to, give me a deal I can't refuse, then we can talk. But I don't want to trade him.
Yeah, I get that part too. And hey, I want to give a huge shout out to Seahawks Eddie. What's up, dude? Good to see you, buddy. My NFC West brother, like they say, he's a good dude. Shifty, great shirt. Yeah, John Jay, what's up, everybody? Well, I mean, that's part of the David McNew. As much as I agree on every part of what you're saying, I don't know. I don't even know how much Hufanga weighs. I think he weighs about 200 pounds or less, but I think we already got players who can play linebacker, like Marcel Harris. We already converted him to linebacker. We'll sign him on a cheaper deal. He's not too bad. Like, I think he's gotten better with experience playing that spot. And then, this might sound like the most unpopular decision, but let's say we end up trading Greenlaw, but let's say we could get one of the best positions in the draft and get a strong safety at some point. But let's say we bring Tart back on a cheaper deal, but we tell him, hey, switch up to linebacker.
Interesting.
Would you be up for that? I mean, that's just a little outside the box. Like, let's say we could switch him up to linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, Tart is someone who I like Tart. Here's the thing: Tart doesn't make the game-changing plays. I mean, NFC Championship game, we all saw what happened there. He dropped the interception, but Tart is usually in the right place at the right time. So I think sometimes that Tart gets a bad rap from 49er fans where, they're anxious to move on from him, but sometimes you kind of don't know what you got until it's gone. So I think he'd be a pretty big loss unless we draft someone, there's talk about in the draft, Jalen Petrie and there's a few other safeties. I like, Verone McKinley and a couple other guys, but I think Tart's a good option. And hey, as you said, we showed that we can convert those safeties into linebackers like Marcel Harris. So maybe if Tart has, come back on a 1-year deal, maybe convert him to linebacker. And if we get a good deal, good offer for Greenlaw, then I could be talked into that for sure. I'm just, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not a huge fan of just, giving away a player of the caliber. And I think Greenlaw is really good. Unless if someone gives me a really good offer, yeah, I'll consider it. But at the end of the day, I don't like trading good young players unless I have to.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to my boy Roberto Boy Loco 915, man, which is in Spanish that he says. But yeah, man, I know you're playing around, man. Don't sweat it, man. Hey, Crazy Juice agrees. I mean, it's all about just strengthening your team better and putting the players at the best position to succeed. I mean, Jaquaski Tart, yeah, he is a good, strong safety, but sometimes there's some thoughts of it, man. Like, look what we did with Marcel Harris. It did him wonders a little bit. Maybe if we're going to trade Greenlaw for that, then, hey, let's just make it happen. But I think Tart's going to price him. I mean, I think he might go elsewhere as a strong safety, so we'll never know.
As long as we don't bring back Josh Norman or Drake Kirkpatrick or Tom Compton, I'll consider the offseason a success.
Or no Dante Johnson, please. No Dante Johnson. Hey, man, I don't know why he's still around. This guy comes around. He's cut. He's back. He's cut. He's back. He's cut. He's back. Practice squad.
Get rid of him.
I know this guy keeps coming back. Yeah, but Josh Norman, he's already old, so it's already at a point. I think he's already retired after this.
Man, he was so bad.
Yeah, he was so terrible.
Josh Norman was trash. But yeah, so it's it's interesting to talk about the different trade scenarios and stuff. I think someone who could maybe get traded, maybe Mike McGlinchey. He's coming off an injury, so that makes it a little bit more complicated. But maybe we trade McGlinchey and we draft a right tackle or something because McGlinchey I thought McGlinchey looked good in the first year he was here, the first year or two, but I think he's kind of gone downhill since there.
Yeah, the question is what kind of trade value will we get in return? I don't think no other team's willing to do that. And plus, he's barely average as a pass blocker, but as a run blocker, he's really good. But the quad injury is the concerning factor. Like, it can be a long-term issue for him. So maybe that's the problem there. But I wouldn't disagree because that's a possibility. We could trade McGlinchey just like we did with Trent Brown, which some people thought it wasn't going to happen, but it came out of the blue.
True. Yeah. People were thinking we're penciling him in as the left tackle of the future, and then bam, gets traded to the Patriots. So, come draft night, come whatever, you never know what could happen. And that's the really fun thing, that we all have our opinions on it. Some people say, hey, trade this guy, trade for that guy. And that's the best part of it. And then finding out what actually happens. And it's going to be, I think this offseason it's really interesting time, just obviously with all the stuff about Garoppolo and what's going to happen there. And yeah, well, the weird thing, and I wanted to ask you about this. What do you think about all these coaches like leaving the 49ers?
It's got to do with promotions or best opportunities. Sometimes staying with us doesn't always mean that you should stay, but do you want to get a high paid job or do you want to stay where you're at? It's like, I can understand the business side. I mean, Mike McDaniels, you got the head coaching job. Why not? Why not? I mean, you can't pass on it. It's a good opportunity. I mean, then you got other coaching staffs. It's always about working with other people. You want to help others, but you want to have a good connection. So maybe going with them does give them a better factor. But I was surprised by Wes Welker. I thought he would have stayed with us, but maybe he just wanted to. Maybe it was just the Miami ties and the loyalty with Mike McDaniels might be the factor too. So, and then and then a lot of changes like our running backs coach. I think he's only gonna take 1 year off, then come back next year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been talks. And then our quarterbacks coach, Scangarello, is taking the OC job in Kentucky. So he's getting a higher position. So I guess you can't hate on that.
Yeah, that's true. I'm curious now to see who they're gonna bring in. We lost a tight end coach as well. And then, the special teams coordinator, hey, Richard Hightower, I was glad to see him go because our special teams have been a joke for like a long time. But we haven't even filled that position yet, so we have to wait and see what's going to happen there too.
Yeah, special teams coordinator is an opening. Quarterbacks coach is an opening. I mean, our receivers coach has already been filled in with Lincoln Hankerson because he was our quality control coach, and our tight ends coach was filled in by a guy that we just brought in our staff as a quality control coach too. So, and then we got a couple of guys that we got to fill in at some point, but it's a lot of coaching changes. It happens every once a year. You'll get a couple of staffs coming and going, or some of them stay, but it's pretty rare when you stay in Shanahan's coaching tree. You're gonna like have maybe a short time window, and then you're gonna go elsewhere at some point. So it's like Robert Saleh was with us for 4 years or so, and it came to a point to where he got a head coaching job, and it's gonna probably be the same with DeMeco Ryans. So at some point he's gonna get it. And then Anthony Lynn, it's a matter of time of maybe him getting another chance as a head coach. So we'll see.
I think at the end of the day, look, we got Kyle Shanahan, we got Anthony Lynn, we got DeMeco Ryans, we got Kasurik coaching the D-line. We have those guys. I think we're in good shape on the coaching staff.
Yeah, we got a lot of good coaching leaderships there, and that's all that matters. And when you bring guys like that, that's a good thing. So I'm just confident with the staff we bring in. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be exciting for the offseason. But as always, man, I'm going to give you your final conclusion, and we're going to end this on a high note, man. Definitely looking forward to it. Maybe down the road I'll come down your stream or you come down mine again. It's up to you. But I'm going to give you – yeah, the floor is yours. I want to let you speak and you give an thank you or whatever way you want to do it.
Cool. Well, yeah, CG, man, thank you for having me on. It's always good talking 49er football. I could do it all day, every day. But yeah, if you guys want to check me out, just search Shifty 49ers. I think CG is going to put the link to my channel in the description below. So check that out. Talk 49ers football all the time. As you can see behind me, got a whole bunch of like Niners and Bay Area sports gears. So that's my bread and butter right there. But I mostly talk Niner football. I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of free agency talk, draft talk. My favorite thing to do is stream the games. Hopefully going to stream the draft as well. And find me there. I'm from San Francisco originally. I didn't grow up there, but I moved back here to San Francisco about 11 years ago. So I live in the city right now. And it's a good time. And I'm looking forward to hopefully being back on with CG. I also have done work with John Jay on his channel too. And I should be there coming up again pretty soon. But that's about it. Definitely, subscribe, check it out. And it's a good time.
Yeah, sure is, man. And I'm going to put a good introduction for me too. So, man, yeah, I thank everybody else for checking out the channel, watching the stream. And yeah, Shifty 49ers Talks channel is right down in the description. He's very knowledgeable. His recent video, he did some top 5 other videos of options and free agency and the draft. He does all kinds of stuff. He does play-by-plays, I like what he does as a content creator. That's what I appreciate the most. And yeah, definitely looking forward to the near future with him. We've always liked to help each other's Niners community grow as a team. I'm not from the Bay Area, but I just enjoy the Bay Area team. So, just representing towards Central California, and that's how I roll. So yeah, appreciate it, man.
Oh yeah, again, man, thank you for having me on, and definitely want to do this again sometime soon. Talk some more football.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. So as always, CG Ruthless Sports and Shifty 49ers Talk is out, and you already know, go Niners.